Hello everyone, I am Signe Mane and I have written a book. The book is called Flemish Folktales Retold and it is illustrated by Kate Zederberg and edited by Kyria Seabrook. And because the book is now available for pre-order, I thought it might be nice to read one of the reimagined folktales. So the story I will be reading is called The Hares and the Accordion Player. And the story in the book, so the reimagining, is inspired by two folktales. In the first folktale, we have a man who throws a stick at a hare. And all of a sudden, hundreds of hares appear and they chase him out of the woods. And the man is terrified, and the next day he dies out of fear. And the next folktale, which inspired the reimagining, is one about an accordion player. And it was said that this accordion player, he was a little bit devilish, and he loved to play his accordion for the hares that lived in the woods. And these hares were obviously shape-shifting witches. Franz looked at the labourers, seamstresses, and craftsmen gathering in the market square. He had hidden his cart in the woods nearby because he feared what had happened in the previous village might repeat itself. When the townspeople saw a peddler selling combs, small chalkboards, and used scales enter their small town, they threw stones at him. One man had even threatened to set his cart on fire. This time, Franz wanted to approach the villagers slowly. Perhaps he would play a song on his accordion and show them that he was a trustworthy fellow who would never attack them in their sleep and run off with all their valuables. He had expected to find them in the pub drinking and swearing, not assembled in the market square. "What do we do?" a man who stood on a bench asked the crowd. "Are we going to let those fiendish hares murder us all?" "They didn't murder him," a woman said. "You think you know better, mevrouw lieve. You always think you know better, don't you?" "He was a pompous fool," she said. "He's heard the stories often enough, but did he listen? No. He went into the woods, and what does the fool do? Throws a stick at a hare. What did he expect was going to happen? The hares were going to declare him their master and carry him around in a sedan chair? Are you condoning murder? There was no murder. He scared himself to death. We all know he was chased out of the woods by hundreds of hares. And I say he shouldn't have been throwing things at them unless his ingenious plan was to scare himself to death. I know what you are. You are one of those long-eared beasts, aren't you, mevrouw lieve? In your hare form, you drink the blood of innocence and curse those who cross you. And he discovered the truth, didn't he? That's why you and your warren of hares murdered him. How dare you? How dare you say I am a witch? How dare you accuse me of?" Franz had heard enough. He left the market square and went back to the woods. He stared at the trees behind him through one of his hand mirrors. He waited patiently for a shadow to appear, a sign that there was witchery nearby, or something that suggested these woods were bedeviled. But nothing happened. And soon the song of a hawfinch lulled him to sleep. It was pitch dark when Franz opened his eyes. He went deeper into the woods. He held his breath when he noticed that his breathing sounded louder than the twigs that creaked beneath his boots, and he shivered when the unearthly call of an owl echoed through the forest. He froze when he suddenly spotted a hare sitting in front of a tree. Franz felt as if its large brown eyes were trying to read what was inside his mind. He saw mercilessness in its eyes, mercilessness towards those who wanted to harm the hare. but also fear of those who wanted to shoot bullets into the animal's heart. Franz bowed, then opened his knapsack and showed the hare his red accordion. The hare nodded. He strapped the instrument to his chest and pressed the buttons. A tune that sounded more wondrous than anything he had ever played before reverberated through the woods. It didn't take long for another hare to arrive. The two hares stood up, touched each other's paws, and started to dance. Then another hare came, and another, and another. And just when Franz thought there couldn't be any more hares in the woods, 20 more appeared. They danced around the trees while he played. As they swirled and twirled, their hind legs ripped the moss out of the earth and created the kind of circles that Franz had often heard others call witches' circles. It was said these circles were cursed, and anyone who stepped into them would be lost forever. But that's not how Franz saw them. As far as he was concerned, the true meaning of the circles was belonging. Every now and then, a hare would stop dancing and gaze at the moon. When its silver light started to vanish, so did the hares. And that's when Franz started to re-evaluate his life. People didn't accept him for who he was, but the hares did. He didn't know if they were shape-shifting witches, but he didn't mind if they were. He belonged in their witches' circle. Franz soon got to work and built himself a small hut in the woods. It lacked even the most basic of luxuries, and many would declare the crude structure uninhabitable. But Franz didn't care. He had finally learned how to smile. He lived off the bounty the forest had to offer, and sometimes the hares left bread or cheese at his door. Every night he played his accordion for the hares as they danced, until the sun put an end to the merriness. But it was never truly the end. The moon always returned along with the hares. I hope you have enjoyed this reading. If you like witches, devils, animals who shapeshift in the woods, and so much more, accompanied with beautiful illustrations, then consider pre-ordering the book.